Hey there, this is John with the Look Around podcast. Before we dive into today's interview, I want to tell you that we had some audio issues that you will soon be aware of. David was very kind to let us kind of experiment on him. He was our very first interview that we did, and we were still working out some of the kinks. In fact, I think we thought we had a great idea with a special kind of mic we were going to use for him, and it turned out the audio did not turn out that great. So stay tuned, because what he had to say was very, very good. It was worth paying attention to. And in future episodes, our audio and video gets better and better. So please enjoy today's interview with David Vincent of Circle Coffee.
Welcome back to the Look Around podcast. Excited to be with you guys today. Today we are joined by David Vincent, the owner of Circle Coffee right here in beautiful Topeka, Kansas.
Oh yeah.
Man,
right
get some free pub right there. It's the best coffee. It's amazing. I spend way too much money here, which is why I had to start a podcast to start making more money. So.
yeah, I'm making up for that.
So please join our Patreon so I can keep drinking Circle Coffee.
Man, that's awesome. Well, we got Ryan Slazner and John. We're co-hosts, and we're excited David, that you sat down with us. Really appreciate it. I know you have a lot going on. You're married, you have an infant, you have a business, a lot going on. So maybe we could just start. You own Circle. You're really passionate about coffee. How'd you get into coffee? And,
Yeah, it's a good question. I feel like a lot of people start a coffee shop because they just love coffee, which I do, but I wouldn't say that was like the number one driving force for us. I think it stems from just like a passion for serving people and just like inviting people into welcoming spaces. So yeah, my wife and I, we're both photographers. We shoot a lot of weddings, or I used to. So some friends of ours. Do you want the whole like Circle backstory?
Yeah, dude,
Okay,
give us the whole backstory, man.
So some friends of ours, they actually built a coffee cart, and they started the business. They started Circle Coffee. Cameron Philgreen.
Okay, yeah.
You know him. And so he posted on his Instagram like 2 months or a month before my wedding, and he posted a video of him building this cart. I messaged him kind of as a joke, like, "Hey, what are the odds it's ready by October 27th?" And he calls me. He's like, "Dude, I think I can have it ready. I'll do your wedding for free. Let's do it." And I was like, deal.
That's awesome.
Because my wife and I both love coffee. We had been looking for some options of like maybe someone to do pour overs at our wedding, which would have been a horrible idea. It's so slow. But so his was the first. There's lots of coffee carts out and about now, but his was the first I'd seen in the area. And so he came and did our wedding. That was the first ever Circle event, was my wife and I's wedding.
Wow.
He's also a wedding photographer. Like a year or so later, we were shooting a wedding together, and he and his wife were getting ready to move to Texas. And so I had thought about building a cart because we were kind of already in the events industry. I really liked the idea. We loved the experience having it at our wedding. And so, I liked the idea, and then he was kind of hesitant about bringing it with him. So we ended up a year later, October of 2019, bought the business from them.
Wow.
And so it came with a couple already booked events. We kind of I had never worked in a coffee shop before that. I made coffee at home. I enjoyed that, but I didn't know what I was doing. My wife had a little bit of experience.
So were you just on YouTube, how to make espresso, right before this event?
Yeah, no, literally.
That's awesome.
That's kind of how I do a lot of things, but
I so relate to that. Yeah.
So yeah, we had a couple events, and then 3 or 4 months later, COVID hits, and all of our events are canceled. And so we kind of, figured out life for a few months, as everybody did, and then we kind of realized we have this coffee cart. We're not doing anything with it. Let's try to do some public-facing pop-ups, because it was all private events, mostly weddings, corporate stuff.
And that you started just 4 months before.
Yeah.
The pandemic started. Wow, that's interesting. Because I heard about it around that time.
Yeah.
I thought it had been going for a lot longer before that.
No, it had been running for a year under Cameron.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And we bought it.
And it was called Circle Coffee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so our friends were like, yeah, come pop up in front of our house on Westboro Park. And so we did that. It was a couple months into the pandemic. Posted on our socials, serving from 9 to noon today. I think we offered free coffee for healthcare providers, whatever.
Oh yeah.
And it was like a pretty good turnout. We had we had lots of friends stop by, a few random people, and then people walking around the park because everybody wanted to be healthy during the pandemic.
The only time people were walking and
Get that vitamin D outside.
It was such a good time. I mean, aside from all the horrible things that were happening.
It really was. Like there was a really special like slice of that time. Yeah.
That was the last part of my life where I didn't have children, so I had literally zero responsibilities. It was a pretty crazy time.
Yeah, it's like I guess we'll go to the park again today.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then we did that. A couple weeks later, we like popped up in front of my brother's house in Westboro, and then I don't know, a few months later, so the owner of the Dairy Queen, which we are right behind currently, I know him. My wife and I just live a few blocks away. We love this area. And so we were like, let's try to do something like more, like just longer. Like let's try to pop up for a week. Secretly, like we had been eyeing this laundromat as we like were going on the pandemic walks, like, but it was mostly like somebody else should put a coffee shop in there.
Yeah.
We don't want to do it, but
really. So
spot.
what about that? What about that was like daunting, or making you feel like we're not going to be the ones to do that?
I mean, I think just a lot of like, we don't know how to do that. We're kind of like heavy into doing the photo video stuff. We're doing like a couple car events a month and then none over COVID. But yeah, it was like, we just wanted to see it exist because we love going to coffee shops with our friends. Yeah. And just being in that space.
And was kind of in the backdrop, like that PT's closed like a few blocks from here.
Yep.
Now there's kind of nothing in this area.
Yeah. I think that around that same time, PT's decides to close their College Hill location.
That was kind of a big deal.
It was very sad
for this area. I feel like I saw you there all the time at that PT's.
I lived there. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
My
like we
office for like 4 years.
Almost every day we were there. I met so many people. That was a big deal. Yeah. So there's kind of a void in this spot.
Yeah. I mean, just all of my wife and I and all of our friends, that was just like, I don't know if you've heard of the term like third place. Like it's not your home, it's not your work, it's like that third place that you gather with your people. That was that for us. And then they closed. I'm not gonna say anything like too controversial, but just started to see some other like just a decrease in like what that used to be, even at the other location a little bit, because that was like the spot where like that was where I found out about specialty coffee. It was like I had black coffee for the first time there. Black coffee that I enjoyed for the first time there, and that like just opened up that world for me. And so I think just feeling like, okay, we love hospitality, we love welcoming people into a space that people just feel like they want to spend time. And then I think just having that close, and then just other stuff that we saw, and we were like, we don't know how to open a coffee shop, but I know that that's wrong. Like I know that there's a better way than like some other things that I was seeing.
So you were like, it sounds like to me kind of like my wife and I, when we got married, we had been to like over 100 weddings before we got married. So we had all these ideas about what to do and what not to do. And like, all right, we've been to a lot of weddings that were really hard to attend. And so we're going to make our wedding not like that.
Pick the best from the ones
Was it kind of like that?
to?
You're like, all right, I've been to a lot of places. I've seen like what works. I've seen like maybe what I'm not as excited about. And I kind of, you're forming your idea of what would be like really awesome.
Yeah, that's eventually what it became. And then even after we like decided we're going to do this, you had to like do all the research, go to all the coffee shops, like continue to, but yeah, a lot of it was just like, I know what I like, and I know that I don't think my community is getting that enough. Like what I think is valuable in a coffee shop, I don't think this community is getting that. So I don't like. There's great coffee shops in Topeka. That's not what I'm trying to say, but
just to be clear, you think all coffee shops suck except for
use that clip.
You heard it here first.
No, I mean, it was just like, I think every great like thing that is started is born out of a desire to born out of like a vision for what could be.
Yeah.
So that's how Circle was started, or that's how this building was started, the brick and mortar. So circling all the way back, we did a week-long pop-up in the Dairy Queen parking lot just to like gauge the area interest. It went well. A lot of people just loved, swinging by, walking by, and it just like it felt right. Just like with the neighborhood and the people that came by, it felt right. And so continued to have conversations with the Dairy Queen owner. He owns this building. He's our landlord. Continued to have those conversations, and then that like spring, summer of, what would that have been, 2021, we decided, okay, let's like take the next step. We're gonna do the farmer's market like every week, which was a ton of work. We decided we're gonna bring my sister in, who's the head pastry chef here. She's gonna make some pastries for the farmer's market. We're gonna see how that goes. So all the while just continuing to use social media as like a way to like get the word out where we're gonna be. And then that went well. We just we kept getting requests for like, when are you guys gonna open a coffee shop? Like, when are you gonna do this, but like bigger and more frequent? And
I will tell you that you guys being at the farmer's market is the only way my wife got me to go to like 9 weeks straight of farmer's markets, because there's nothing else there that I would be interested in. But if I knew I could get an iced vanilla latte at the time and just walk around, I didn't mind what else we were looking at, because I was happy. So.
It was a great time. I mean, it was a lot of work, a lot of very early mornings.
I can imagine.
And very cold and very hot, usually never in between.
What were you guys doing in between gigs at that time? So before you launched the brick and mortar, were you working full-time somewhere else?
Yeah, I was continuing to do my photography and my video. My wife has a part-time job, and she also does photography. And so we were basically doing that. I mean, we didn't really have any cancellations on the wedding end during COVID. We just had some like smaller, intimate weddings, which actually was like a perk of COVID. And then, some small business, photo, video jobs here and there. But
and was that was like gig kind of economy type, like you'd have a client hire you for a video for this, but you weren't like a video department for some company or something like that?
No, just all the while freelance.
Okay,
Just self-employed the whole time for the past like 5-6 years. And so, I think we did the farmer's market. We started to have a few more cart events, and then just doors kept opening. It was still one of those things where like, man, I don't know if we're the ones that should do this, but people like, I don't know, just when your people that you trust like affirm that like you should do this, and not people that will say yes to anything, like the cautious people. When they say you should do this, that's like a really good sign. And so we had those people in our life, and
that's a great soundbite right there.
Clip that, please.
Listeners, great advice. Get some people like that.
And not yes men. I love that. That's awesome. That's awesome.
It really is so true, though. Like when you have people close to you who are willing to say no, and they're willing to be like, that's a bad idea. But they're like, no, this is amazing. You should totally do this. That carries a lot of weight.
Yeah,
for sure. Because like, how many people want to open a coffee shop? It's a lot of people. And so
it's like exotic sounding. Like
almost the amount of people who want to start a podcast.
Yeah,
pretty similar thing.
Almost. And I had a couple people like not say you shouldn't do that, but like strong warnings against it, which was also like, I needed to hear that. I needed to like think about all the, there's not a lot of money in coffee. There's really tight margins in coffee. And so I needed to think through all of those things before I could have like full confidence and like, this is the next step. And then pair that with like feeling some burnout from the work that I was doing and just feeling the need to make a change. That was like, yes, we're doing this. And so I think it was October of 2021, we signed the lease. Started on the build out. I mean, we had a lot of just like bare bones stuff to do this place. A lot of like the landlord, he paid for a lot of like the HVAC and all that. Like it needed a total renovation.
Yeah.
It's kind of a dump. We were building out for, I don't know what that was, like 7-8 months. And then opened up in June 30th of last year.
Wow.
It's amazing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And obviously it's been a great first almost year at this point, right? I mean, every time I come in here, it's hard to find a parking spot, hard to find a place to sit, which is a good thing. It's not, I never feel mad about it, but
Now you did, how many events did you do in this building before you launched?
Just one inside and one on the patio.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, we had an open house like a week or two after we signed the lease. We were just like, whatever.
Where it was just empty.
We have one working outlet in this place. We're gonna bring the coffee cart in, and we're gonna like. Yeah, that was after we knocked down all the walls. Like, we're just gonna show people like what this was before we like redo it. And so, I mean, that was crazy. We had the coffee cart all the way at the other side. And there was a line to the wall for like 2 hours. Mostly because there was only like limited capacity.
Sure,
in the coffee cart, but like, that was a lot of fun.
Well, I remember the day that the soft opening happened, that it was kind of unannounced, wasn't really expected. Jon and I think we were at like a morning small group together, and then we both went back home, and then immediately we both got a text from you like, hey, we're soft opening today. Come in and get some coffee. And we both texted each other and immediately came right back and grabbed coffee that day. And I think you opened a day or two later, and it was just exciting. It was so fun to get to be a part of and experience the start of something new in this area. So what were kind of your feelings on that day? Like, we're doing it. We're here. All the work you've put in.
Yeah, man, that was like, I'm gonna try not to cry. It was just the culmination of so much work. And then like seeing like all of the people that had supported us along the way, like show up at the same time, like, cause like those 8 months were pretty rough. Like just, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. Like, we have contractors in here, doing a lot of the work. I'm trying to help out where I can, but I don't know what I'm doing, and it's just like very lonely feeling.
Yeah.
Like, we're just like I'm trying to figure it out. We're trying to like, okay, how do we hire a team? How do we like get this space ready? Like, because we don't want to like half-ass this. Like, we're gonna put everything we have into this. Like, it was just a rough time. Like, very lonely feeling, and so. Like, just that first couple of days of being open was just like, this was worth it.
Wow.
Like, everybody here, like, getting to use the space for exactly what we envisioned. So worth it, like, in ways that are hard to explain. So
that's incredible.
Yeah.
So what got you through? I mean, like, it was 8 months of build?
Yeah.
So, like, let's say 4 to 6 months in, you're halfway through, you're overwhelmed, exhausted, tired. Like, what was keeping you going of like, okay, is this gonna work? Is this not gonna work? You know what I'm saying? Like, what kept you just coming every day and getting it done?
I don't know. A lot of different things. I would say my family was a big one. I shared this with them at Thanksgiving this past year, but like, there were a couple of days where like I showed up here with my wife, and I would just like sit in the car in the parking lot and just like break down crying. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is too much. Like, this is too much for me. And then, like, without fail, every single one of those days, I would get a text from one of my family members.
Wow.
Like, I have a big family. I have 10 siblings, and so and they're all like very talented in very like specific ways that were helpful here.
I know. Your brother built the tables, right?
My brother built all the tables, like, just incredible work on everything, all the wood pieces in here.
Wow.
Another one of my brothers, like, helped me tile the bathrooms and the backsplash, and like just a lot of like practical advice because he works in construction. My sister, like I said, is the head pastry chef. One of my other brothers like set up the Wi-Fi, like ran all the lights.
Nice.
He's like the tech guy, and like everyone else, I'm sure I'm forgetting specific things, but everyone else like just painting and hauling trash off, and just like,
that's awesome.
Every day that I was feeling like this is too much, I would get a text from somebody, a friend or family, and they're just like, hey, how can I help? And so I think that's the main thing that got us through. But I think some of it was just like, there's no choice. Like, we've put everything we have already into this. We've like pulled out all the money from our home to pay for the down payment for the business loan. Like, there is no plan B.
Like, you've crossed the line of no return.
Yeah, there's no return.
Wow.
So,
Man,
that's awesome.
A lot of the like rush to get open was just like, we can't go another month without being open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How were there anything? So obviously, like, it looks amazing in here, and it looked pretty much, from what I remember, it looked pretty much like this when you opened. Were there any things that you're like, it's not done, but we're opening?
A few, yeah. I mean, a few. Like, we wanted to have some art on the walls, which we ended up getting a friend to do. There was, I think, like, some of these stripes and stuff weren't painted, but like, I remember
these on the end of the walls. Oh, okay,
we were like, that couch in the soft seating area showed up like day 3. Like,
nice.
One of my guys was like building that in the middle of us being open, and putting it together. I think we didn't have those chairs either, but it was like, yeah,
that's awesome.
Like, just setting the deadline was really helpful, because it was like, I'm the type of person to be like, it's not quite ready.
Sure,
we can do a little bit more, and like, we just had to get open. We didn't have a choice. Yeah.
Well, I want to say really quick that I was honored when I showed up and my picture's on the wall.
Yeah.
Come on, baby.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Can I tell you really quick? So I don't know how many of the people that were here ended up on that wall or whatever, but Brogan and I walked when we found out about that day. It was like when it was all torn down and you had the coffee cart in here or whatever. Yeah. We walked from our house. We were in a huge fight when we got here. Like, we almost didn't come because we were like arguing all morning, and we're like so mad at each other. We're like, whatever, let's just go, And so we're getting our photo taken.
That's funny.
She's pregnant, and we're like, let's pretend we love each other and take this photo, And we take our photo, and then it's like on the wall, and we're like, oh man, that was a brutal day. And we resolved it. Like, as soon as we left, we're like, hey, I'm sorry, whatever, but. That was just hilarious.
My experience from that day, I was actually on vacation the day you had the coffee cart event. And I remember I was on a beach in Corpus Christi, Texas, and I looked at my wife and I said, I wish we were in Topeka right now. So if that tells you how much I like Circle Coffee, man. Like, I was on a beach amazing. And I wanted to be here for that.
Yeah. I would say that was a pro of COVID. Like, my wife and I would be working events on the coffee cart with masks on, fighting, but like trying to smile with our eyes, fighting under our breath.
Like, I'm so angry at you right now.
Through the mask, just smiling with our eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, man, that's funny. That's hilarious.
Great. Well, hey, one other thing we wanted to ask you, and you've mentioned several times. You said my community, this area. Why, why Topeka? But even in a more general sense, why Central Topeka? Like, why is this area so important to you?
Yeah. I think the big one is just my wife and I live right here. I grew up more like East Topeka, but I've lived in Topeka almost my whole life. And so huge just passion to see something like this in Topeka. But Central Topeka just makes the most sense to me because it's like you just pull people from everywhere. There's so many great neighborhoods in this area. And so we did not like the idea of just something that like you had to drive to, or like was just in an area of town that wasn't walkable. We get a lot of people obviously drive here from all over, but like a lot of people walk up. And so we were very like, nothing against coffee shops with drive-throughs, but like that was not what I think there's coffee shops that do it well. There's shops that don't. And so we're just like, we want to go like, this is the neighborhood's like living room. Like this is the space where people gather. Yes, we could be like cranking out more drinks with a drive-through, but we just want this to feel like a neighborhood like gathering spot. And so, I mean, there's other areas of town that could benefit from something like this too, but we saw this area and we just with all the neighborhoods and then Washburn being a couple blocks away, I just thought it was perfect.
Yeah.
So Topeka in general, then, I mean, I know a lot of young people. Being from, you've been in Topeka your whole life. A lot of people get to, post high school or post college, and they're like, I got to get out of here. So what about Topeka made you stay?
Yeah.
In the first place.
I'm pretty stubborn. A lot of like my siblings, my family's pretty stubborn, and so I think a big thing for me was like I've had a lot of friends that left, and it's just like everyone would then like. Is this a PG podcast? Everyone would talk crap on...
You say whatever you want to say, man.
Just bleep it out. Everyone would talk crap on Topeka, and it's like... I mean,
they talk what on Topeka?
bleep that out. Everyone would... Not everyone, but like a lot of people talk crap, and then like some of those people are the ones that are leaving. Not all of my friends. A lot of my friends have left and still love Topeka, but some of those people are the ones that are leaving. And it's like... how, like, where's the change going to happen? Like, it's not going to happen with one coffee shop, but like it's going to start somewhere.
Sure.
And so I think that was a big thing. Just like, I wanted to see some people like being in a creative field, especially. It's pretty hard living in Topeka. You just don't get a lot of sense of community, of like just people, like-minded people that want to like push each other to grow their skills.
There's not like a sense of like creative identity in the city yet.
No. And that's why it's, like Topeka struggles because it's so close to Lawrence and Kansas City. It's so easy to leave. And there are those more creative like spaces for people. And so like I don't blame anyone, especially in like a creative field, for leaving, because there's just like, to be honest, there's more opportunities elsewhere.
Sure.
But like that doesn't have to stay that way. And so I did leave Topeka for about 6 months.
I'll cut this. Nope.
Cut this.
Ineligible for the podcast now. Just kidding.
I left. I went to find myself. And then I came back, and like when I did get back, I did kind of have that mindset. I don't know where I'm going next, but I'm not going to stay here. And then I quickly, like, I was pretty young. I quickly like just formed a community of people, of friends that like I loved hanging out with. And then like I just kind of realized there's more things to do other places, but if you don't have people, then like, what's the point? Yes, it would be amazing to live in Denver, Colorado.
Sure. Where did you go for those 6 months?
Hawaii.
What?
So,
I would want to stay too.
I did not want to come back. But yeah, I got back and was like, and I had some friends who had left and like were having a hard time finding people in the big city. It was just like, okay, like, yeah, they have a lot to do, but they don't necessarily have the community that I have here. And so
that's so good. That's so true. Yeah. So I lived in Manhattan for a while, and I was working with college students, and it was kind of something similar. We'd have international students from, huge cities around the world, Shanghai or whatever, and they'd come, and, in their minds, they're thinking America, they're thinking LA, New York City, whatever, and they get to Manhattan, Kansas.
Well, it's also funny that it's called Manhattan.
Well, that is true. Yeah. That is true. But it's like, it's so funny. Like, they would be like, oh, this place is so boring. There's nothing to do. And I'm like, well, I'm having a great time. Like, come hang out with me. Like, we hang out with our friends every night. We're always doing something fun. Like, if you know where to look, like, there's a lot to do. And because I agree that it's more about who you know than what there is to do, and that's why we moved to Topeka too, was for the people. And because we had our sights set on, we've lived in Topeka about 4 years now, and we had our sights initially set on like Colorado as well and other places. And once we moved here, and we're so glad that we did move here, it was like, you know what? I would rather have the right people around me than not have that and have like mountains in the background. That's way more important, you know? And like, man, so we vacation there. We'll go to Colorado, or we'll go to the beach, or we'll go, wherever. But it's like, man, having the right people is like so much more
the right
vital.
People can create the right things, but the right things are never going to bring the right people in.
Okay, so I've met a lot of people from Topeka, and it's interesting. Ryan and I have had this interaction because we're both new. We've been here 3 to 4 years or something like that.
5 years, maybe.
5 years. I've been here 4. You're essentially a lifer.
Yes.
And you are kind of the exception to the rule that I have kind of stumbled onto, is that I feel like most of the people I know that love Topeka are not from Topeka. Like, they move here for a job after college, and they fall in love. They're like, this place is amazing. There's a lot of opportunity. It's a little bit a Wild West feel, because like anything can happen, but there's like a lot more opportunity, and it's exciting. But a lot of the locals that I've met who grew up here have a hard time transferring from like, this place sucks, there's nothing to do, to seeing the opportunity that there is now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they get stuck in what Topeka was to them at one point, not what it is now or even what it could become.
Yeah, like I had a neighbor in a neighborhood we lived in near here, and like when he was like 5, something bad happened in the park across the street. And so to him, the park is always a super dangerous place. And I was like, I take my 2-year-old there every day and it's safe. It's fine. You know, like what? Why are you not able to see this? You know what I'm saying? It's like, how did you, obviously you going and coming back was a big part, but like you were able to kind of successfully transition mentally to not being stuck in that, like, oh, this place sucks or whatever. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think just kind of shifting your mindset to realizing like a place is what you make it. That doesn't mean like, I think one thing that ultimately the harmful thing is people that just like have just the worst attitude about Topeka and also don't want to like spark any change. Another harmful thing is like being only positive about Topeka.
Yeah.
Like, there's stuff that needs to change. And we shouldn't just be like 100% Topeka's the best. But I think like when you see like what a place could be, like I've been a lot of places, but I've also like I've been to a lot of like just normal, boring, mid-sized towns that have like stuff to do, like, you know, like Lincoln, Nebraska, like Des Moines, Iowa. Like it's not that hard. Like you can have like a place that is not the big city, and you can have stuff to do. And so it's like going places like that and being like, this Topeka could totally be this. I think there's a lot of people that just like it's so easy to be negative. I get that. I've been there. Like I still find a lot of things to be negative about in Topeka, but like it's just like you're not like, you're hurting yourself if you just want to like have this mindset. That's what I don't get, is the people that like are negative about Topeka and stay here.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, the cost of living is cheap.
It's cheap, but like so is like Scranton. So like
Linden has Buzzard's Pizza.
Exactly.
Just go down the road a ways.
And I get it. Like I get it. People have experiences, maybe they dealt with crime or like stuff like that. But that doesn't mean like a place is just gonna like stay that way. I've never understood that mentality, I guess.
Well, I would say one benefit to, some might say, the crime is that I
can't wait to see where
I have not been pulled over like one time.
Okay.
It's like the cops got bigger fish to fry. Yeah. And it's like, this is kind of nice. I can just kind of mind my own business and not worry about getting pulled over.
I can't say that's my experience.
Oh, okay.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah, he's got a lot more years.
No radar in the car. I'm not, All right. Well, we know you got a lot going on. We really appreciate your time. We had a few kind of just rapid fire questions we want to throw at you.
Let's do it.
All right. So if you could only get coffee at one other shop in Topeka besides yours, what would it be? I'm just kidding. You don't have to answer that one. You don't have to put anybody on blast. Okay. I saw the life.
Like,
actually, the real question is, who's your worst employee?
Okay. I've been waiting to answer that.
You can fire them on this pod. This is the firing.
No, I won't answer that. But there's a lot of good coffee in Topeka. We love Coffee Head, Jude's, Dialogue, Milk and Honey out east. But like, there's a lot of cool shops.
I know you guys were involved in that program last year. It was like all the different coffee shops. You get a stamp at different places.
Coffee Trail.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
That was cool,
That was cool to be a part of.
I've been to significantly less shops after like we opened this. But,
It's awesome. What is your favorite restaurant? Like, what's you and your wife's go-to when you want to go out to eat?
It's hard to say anything but John's.
Oh, heck yeah. It's kind of in this area, roughly.
Yeah, we love them. It's just like, the food is amazing, but just like over the years, we've really developed like an appreciation for just like top tier hospitality. And that's what you get there. We love Wheelbarrow. Miss Burger Stand being over here.
Yes.
I'll say that.
100%.
Yeah. If you could add one thing, whether it be a restaurant or an activity or something, if you could add one thing to the city of Topeka, what would you add?
It's actually a question that I asked our employees when I interviewed them, but I don't know if I have like an amazing answer.
You're like, Viva asks the questions.
It's hard to say one thing, man. There's so many things I would add.
Another mall, maybe.
Another mall probably would be great.
White Lakes 2.0.
Yeah.
Bring it back, man.
Yeah. I would love to see more. This is a broad answer. I'd love to see more like culinary experiences in Topeka. That can mean a lot of different things. More people like thinking outside the box in the culinary field would be awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. You got any other questions?
It's kind of the big ones for me.
You can ask me anything, guys.
What's the most recent fight you and your wife got into? I'm just kidding.
Do you know
Probably over diapers.
why Cameron named it Circle Coffee initially? Do you know the reason behind that? I've always been curious.
Yeah, we get that one a lot. I asked him at one point. I think he said he just thought it sounded cool and it's memorable. We actually thought about changing the name once we decided to do the brick and mortar. And man, if there's a cool name for a coffee shop that you can think of, it already exists.
Yeah.
So if you were to expand, say you went to Noto or you went somewhere else, would you be Circle Coffee or would you be like Square over here, Triangle there?
Yeah.
Become PlayStation Coffee.
We can't be Square. They're actually the point of sale system that we use.
Yeah.
But no, we probably
Rhombus
still be Circle.
Coffee.
Yeah. I think between like the team that we have and my wife and I, like we have a lot of things that we'd like to see, we'd like to do in Topeka. So I could definitely see a second location, but pretty much endless possibilities at this point.
Well, how about this? Let's end on this question then. What's your vision for Circle? Mm-hmm. Or if you have other, I don't know, don't need to give away any other business ideas you have, but like what's your vision for Circle? Like where would you like to see this? What would you like to see it become?
Yeah. I sat down with my wife and my sister before we opened for like a little company retreat. This is one of the things we talked about. My mom's grandpa has this great quote. It's like, if you aim at nothing, you hit it every time. So from the very beginning, we wanted to have an aim for Circle, and that includes a lot of things which we don't have time to talk about, but like one of the main things is just like stay true to like why we opened this place. So like people over profits. We want to make money because that's how you like open that second location.
Mm-hmm.
So like our team comes first. Very much just hospitality focused. There's a big like gap in the market for like places that place like a high priority on excellent products and back that with like amazing customer service.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have to go to many coffee shops in Lawrence and Kansas City where you're just like, okay, I'm kind of a nuisance. I feel like
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
So that's
and
like
some of the like higher end ones too.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't think you like me.
Yeah, it's because I'm better than you.
Yeah.
But I think that's like if we never do anything but this cafe for Circle, like we're gonna stay true to that. Like treat people well, like just make them feel valued, make them feel whether they're getting the coffee to go or staying here, like just like be hospitable to them in a way that they probably haven't experienced in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big part of our training. We're not gonna like nail that every time. Like our employees are gonna have bad days, but that's the vision for Circle is like whether that's here or like 3 cafes and a restaurant and a cocktail bar, like whatever we do, or if we roast coffee, like whatever we do, it's gonna be like for Topeka and for the good of the people in our community.
Yeah.
It's kind of vague, but like.
I mean, well, I will say
awesome.
I always have good experiences here. I mean, your team, every time I come, most of them know me by name by now.
Yeah.
It's just kind of embarrassing, but it's great. And a lot of them even know what I'm going to order before I say it. So it's been a really positive experience. And as someone who lives right here in Central Topeka, I just want to say thank you for everything you've done for this area and your vision and believing that it can be more than it has been. So
I could talk for hours about our team. Like none of this happens without our team. Like my wife and I like had the vision, but like, man, we have a great team.
You do. It's cool.
It's great.
Yeah.
Matt, well, where can people find you on social media?
Circle Coffee Co. if you want to follow my personal page, I'm just mainly photos of my baby right now.
And what's that?
David Vincent.
That's awesome.
All right. Hey, if you haven't been in, 17th and Webster right here in Topeka, Kansas, Circle Coffee.
Medford,
17th and Medford.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It was fun.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Look Around podcast.
Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And follow us on Instagram at the Look Around podcast, where followers can submit questions for future interviews.
If you'd like to connect with us further, you can send us an email at thelookaroundpodcast@gmail.com.